and gentlemen, live from the broken down, low-rent, sleazy, double greasy pirate radio Nut Hut Studios, it's time for the very first ever Southern...
Attention. Attention, please. You are receiving a pirate radio transmission. On the air.
CPR Street Gang, this is all biting. Standing by, over. CPR Street Gang, this is all biting. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines...
Clocks run out. Time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
My name's Jimmy. Hey, it's Aftermath.fm. That's right. Welcome. It's Monday. The after party. After the after party. Clyde Lewis with a great show. Into Microcosm's on the air.
1, 2, 3, take my hand and come with me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine. Really want to make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money when you look like that, do you, honey? Big black boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with her get back stare. Well, I could see you home with me, but you were with me.
I'll tell you something. I have nothing against drugs whatsoever. That's kind of weird, huh? You never heard that one? Used to take drugs, quit, and have nothing against them. Wow, never heard that. Let's hear more. Okay. I'll tell you something else. I know this is not a very popular idea. You don't hear it very often anymore, but it's the truth. I have taken drugs before, and I had a real good time. Sorry. Didn't murder anybody, didn't rob anybody, didn't rape anybody, didn't beat anybody, didn't lose one fucking job, laughed my ass off, and went about my day. Sorry. Now, where's my commercial? Shit, I'll be the guy holding that skillet in that commercial, man. That ain't a brain, that's breakfast. Let's eat. What have we been up, 5 days now? I'm fucking starving. I find that commercial a tad insulting to my intelligence. You know the one? Here's your brain. I've seen a lot of things on drugs, but I have never, ever, ever looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have seen UFOs split the sky like a sheet, but I have never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have had 7 balls of light come off of a UFO, lead me onto their ship, explain to me telepathically that we are all one and there's no such thing as death. But I've never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain. Now, maybe I wasn't getting good shit, but
It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is to stay away, mother. It's just one of those days. It's all about the he said, she said, rules. I think you better quit, better slip, or you'll be leaving with a fat lip.
It's like a freight train. First one to complain leaves with a blood stain. Mom's Jimmy. It's Monday, and I'm a little bit testy today. Just a little bit. I got some stuff going on in the real world, and it's making me agitated. So I'm going to do my best to keep my cool, and we got a great show planned for you tonight. Obviously, it's Monday, and you know that means it's the alternative universe, and it's going to be time for Mr. Rowe's Wild Ride. That's right. And Epic Journeyman is just pulling up in the driveway. And what we're going to be talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is where did all this technology go that seemed to be around the world at a certain period of time? It seemed like people were working with a certain technology. Seems like things were working a lot better. Seemed like, we weren't in a soup of, electromagnetic radiation that's causing us to be off balance and, out of control. And maybe, they had a harnessing on this technology back in the day that was a little bit better than what we see today. Maybe that was a little bit more in tune with the way things are. My name's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosm.
Walking alone on a cold night, chills rattle through my bones. The way she looks, it shocks me. Standing at the door that leads below, there's a light at the end of the hall. Can I reach it before I fall? She's unusual.
There she is, the Red Queen, the mistress of the night, the guardian of the door that leads below to the underground, the alternative to the alternative. Danny, are you there?
I am there.
Excellent. Well, it looks like Epic Journeyman's pulling up the driveway, and you look fantastic as usual.
Okay.
Nice to see you, even though I can't see you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Monday, and wow, it's been a long weekend. Plenty of stuff going on all weekend around here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It was a it was like a November weekend over here, Danny. It was freezing cold, man. I mean, a lot of people, if I say I'm cold, they say, Jimmy, because they live someplace where it gets below zero. But listen, it's been cold here, and seasonably cold. The weather
What's up with that?
I'm not sure. The weather has been not necessarily normal for a bit.
It's that darn global warming.
Oh, it could be.
Global warming cooling, right?
Right. I mean, well, they changed that to climate change, so you can't really argue with it that way. It goes up, it goes down.
Yeah.
We don't know what it does, but it's back, it's forth. We don't know. What a great show with Clyde Lewis, Ground Zero team, getting into the magnetics and the nanoparticulates that may be present. Hundreds of videos are popping up all over the world. People putting the magnets on their arms, and Clyde Lewis, he just went through the whole. I know, it's crazy, man. And then you see that document with the nanoparticulates, right there. I mean, it's pretty, like the nose on your face. Well, it looks like the Epic Journeyman has arrived into the outer perimeter.
You're never late if you're fashionably late.
That's right. Well, you know what? He's late, so it's time for Mr. Rowe.
Down at the bottom of that tree, there's a little old box. It's really the home of Mr. Wizard the Lizard. Mr. Wizard, please, Mr. Wizard.
Listen, Thrassin, Clausen, Chrome. Time for this fun to come home.
Get down, get down. 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 Get down, get down.
Right Reverend Dr. Ro. Are you there?
Maybe.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like I can't see you, but you seem to be materializing in the dark mist just beyond the door that leads below. And
you can see my smile.
I can, as a matter of fact. Well, I mean...
I'm kind of jealous of his goth little answer there, maybe. Who's asking?
I know. Well, it's good to have you, Mr. Rowe. Now, listen, last week was a great show. We uncovered, literally, San Francisco. It was buried. It was buried up to its knees in mud.
Buried under lies.
Yeah, exactly. Lies and misrepresentations and the history that seems to be. You know what's interesting to me, man? You remember the original cast of the Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember there was just all of a sudden they just pulled it out of their ass somehow. Dan Aykroyd and they had Jane Curtin and they had the cone heads.
From France.
Yeah, and it's funny about it. It's like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, it's the cone heads. But then here we are years later. We start looking into these time frames, and we start looking at these giants, and all of a sudden I start seeing these cone type skulls on these that have been found around the world. These cone head like skulls, and so it makes me wonder where they came up with that bit. Because I mean,
of course they knew. They knew ahead of time because they're on that little secret religion, which gives them one of the perks is they get the secret hidden knowledge that we don't get.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of secret hidden knowledge, antique technology is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I know you and Donnie both are well versed in some of this material. Now, I've just become recently involved with it because, like I said, I hadn't really been looking at much of it, but now I've spent the weekend looking at quite a bit of it, and I have to say that there's definitely something that's definitely not right, and it looks like most of this stuff's been dug out. To be honest, I mean, really, it does look that way. So
the word of the day is Antiquitech.
Antiquitech is the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to hook up Epic Journeyman. There's Danny. I'll get you on camera, Danny, over on YouTube. And I'm going to hook the Epic Journeyman. And so why don't you guys get going here, and I'll get Epic Journeyman lined out in the green room there. I mean, not lined out literally, but I mean, I'll go get him. I'm not going to line him out in the green room. But I will smoke some weed while I'm in there because it is 4:20 according to my watch. But, yeah, so Antiquitech. The word of the day. What is happening with Antiquitech? Now, you guys want to break it off slowly but surely?
I don't know if there's any slowly, but surely we will.
Don't call me Shirley. All right. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to get the Epic Journeyman, go over the green. Go ahead.
Right. So, I mean, dude. Did you see the picture I showed you of the house that I saw with the thingies on the top,
The spires?
Yeah. Look at that. That's so I live in a place where I have so many like Victorian houses here, and they haven't taken off the hardware, and it's like, well, maybe you might not notice, but free energy, anyone? I guess that would be a good launching point because that seems to be like the hot topic lately.
Yeah, I think what happened was the old world was systematically removed. The spires and things that you're talking about can be found. They don't build those anymore like that, but you can still find them in the old architecture of places, like Moscow but it's rare to really see of this kind of architecture. And if you look back right around the turn of the century, from the 1890s into the 1900s, there were several disasters. There was the 1906 earthquake and fire in San Francisco. There was what they call the Great Fire of New York. There was, I think, a fire in Boston.
Chicago.
Yeah. So
Tunguska explosion in 1908.
And the one in Chicago, I was it Michigan City? At the same time, I don't remember what other town it was. It's like slipping my mind, but there was a bigger fire going on very near Chicago at the same time, and like nobody mentioned it. no big deal. Nothing to see here. It's like they just wanted to feature Chicago in that scenario because of, the World's Fair having been over, and these buildings were temporary. So, they caught on fire.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of interesting about the World's Fair, how those were all supposed to be temporary. And
right.
Now I lived in San Francisco, and there's like that little, in Golden Gate Park. There's a little area. Actually, no, it's not in Golden. Yeah, they have a building in Golden Gate Park they kept, and one building that they kept near the golf course, and then Treasure Island was supposedly built, for exposition in the Bay. But I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but we'll re-mention it, is that I think that a lot of these World's Fairs were the final showcase before they took this. And I don't think they destroyed the technology. I think that they hid it away from us, from the common people, maybe so they could study it, maybe so they could get a line on it. And then when they were ready to release it, which they did over a period of time, probably release little bits and pieces of it. And of course, here we are now in this day and age where they've probably been able to combine things that they've learned from this Antiquitech with new types of technology to come up with their own sort of hybrid of, wonderful stuff.
Right. And obviously, like, whatever they tell us that they're coming up with, this is coming out soon. They've already had it for a long time. But, there's always, I have this like internal back and forth between, are they just reverse engineering it like Tesla? Like, there's no way. Like, how could you possibly come up with that many patents and inventions as a human?
I think it's also kind of a joke, like an Illuminati joke, where they come out with companies like, let's call this company Tesla.
Right, of course.
And now Tesla is, coming out with all this new tech, probably based on a lot of principles that Nikola Tesla, the original true Tesla, was trying to bring to the world, what was stifled. Real quick, back on the Tatarian kind of stuff, the architecture, there are, if we think outside the box and we look at the world through the eyes of, let's say, someone who's never been to Earth before, this might be a little easier to see. But the fireplace, is the fireplace what we think it is? Where it's a box where we put wood in and we burn it and it makes heat and it goes in the goes out the chimney, or could it be that the concept of this thing was actually based on something else, that the fireplace was not actually for fire, but was possibly a power plant of some sort for the house?
Exactly. And you have the same like setup inside those fireplaces. You have the twin little I don't even know what to call them. The what would you call those
pillars
things?
Or stacks?
The pillars, yeah. I want to say like peaks or pillars or whatever. You have the two like brass things or iron. Then you have like the iron backplate, which they would have blamed on being used for radiating the heat back into the house. And
of course,
but honestly, insulated. What's it really for?
Yeah, and it's insulated, because you would want to, of course, insulate the energy that's coming through there. And all we're seeing is the shell of this stuff. Apparently, some folks say that these Tatarians, the folks that left their technology, left their civilization for whatever reason. Now, whether they destroyed or left somewhere, I have my own theory. But supposedly they were larger than normal humans. That they were. Like Alexander the Great was supposedly, of this stature, that there was, maybe they were the descendants of the ancient Titans. Maybe they considered themselves, the right to rule by divine right because of this fact that, they were they had the lineage of the giants of old.
Right. And that's where you get back into like the whole Gilgamesh situation and, like biblically where, like they said, we want to build this tower to make ourselves a name or a reputation before we get scattered abroad. That doesn't make any sense. Like, how is making yourself a reputation or like sounding like a badass to God or whatever, like going to protect you from anything. And if you look at like the literal like root translations of those, it's got the same terminology as men of renown, and what it actually says is we will go up there and make ourselves renown, and it has the same that leads into like the passing your sons through the fire, but that doesn't mean the fires of Baal, like what you're told, in Christian modern like translations, interpretations, whatever. But what it means, I think to me, I'm looking into, I'm not settled on this, but I'm looking into this getting up there, there's some way that you're in some sort of understanding or communication. And I think maybe this is not the deepest level of that translation, but like he became renowned. He became this big, mighty hunter, and he didn't start out that way. That's what I'm seeing in that. And so, like the pictures that you can find and from the stuff the Smithsonian is hiding, it's not people that are how many L's to the sky tall. They're not 50 feet tall or 3,000 feet tall. They're 8 feet tall or 12 feet tall.
Right.
And so there's so much stuff. This is so exciting to me. I don't know if you can tell.
It is exciting. It really is, because there really is something here, and that's what's interesting too, is there's never been any real connection to the human race. They've never found this evolutionary missing link between apes and humans. And I found that these I was taking a look at some of the older World's Fair, and they had these people into these little costumes, and they're putting them forward in these prepared pictures where they're making they're saying, oh well, these are the people that lived here, these are the natives. But were they really the natives? I mean, did they come from where we think they did, or did they somehow arrive here or end up here?
Did anybody bother to ask the natives? Because
like where they came.
They talk about the giant red-headed things that ate people and stuff that were there that they had to get rid of. The population that they decimated when they got there.
And some of them were saved by the ant people as well, and who came from the underground.
Right.
And then there was
the Hopi. They plant it was like was it a sunflower? I don't remember what kind of seed they planted to get out, because everything, underground had become so violent.
And one time, years ago, when I was going to one of these rainbow gatherings, I traveled through the Hopi mesas and the reservations there, and I talked to the elders, and I learned about there's a rock out there. It's called Shiprock, and that has a legend too, that it actually there was, I forget what it was, like giants or something were chasing these people in the old ancient times, and they went to this rock, and it rose up in the sky and brought them to safety, and that's why they call it Shiprock.
It's interesting, and there's a lot of what seemingly are petrified. We're looking at it and we see it as a mountain, but if you look at it in a different way, you can see it as a stump. So
tree stump, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of these mesas that, there's one that literally has a giant axe laying on top of it. And
which one has the axe? I know about the Devil's
Devil's
Tower. Yeah, the one from Close Encounters, actually.
Yeah, I didn't.
But which one has the stump, Jimmy?
Yeah, I didn't note the name of it. I was just blown away when he goes, because at first I couldn't figure out what it was. I was like, what the hell is that? I'm looking at it, I was like, what is that? And he goes, see this here? There's an axe laying on top of this petrified stump. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, that is an axe, And then you see these people, these ladies holding up these arrowheads that are made of metal. And they're like 3 feet, they're 2.5, 3 feet, long. They're sitting there holding, two ladies holding them. There's giant swords.
Have you seen the giant books?
The books.
Yes, I have.
Man. They're
Yeah,
like
that's
6
really
feet freaking tall.
Yeah.
I love books.
Me too.
And
That's my favorite.
They go with the giant doors, right? So there's all these.
Oh, the books, the doors in Prague. Oh, the doors in Prague. You got to see those doors.
There is there's a temple in India that has these big doors, and they're actually vaults. I forget the name of it, but there's these ancient vaults, and they've opened most of them except for one. For a long time, there was several that were sealed for, however long, and they opened those up to see what was in there. But there's a final one that has like these serpents and stuff on the outside, and there's no real handle. And they're like, how come you don't want to open this door? And they said, because opening this door would bring about destruction over the entire earth. And they're like, you do not want to open this door.
But
and
that's where all the treasure is, so people won't stop talking about it.
Yeah, and this temple is like, it's in India, and it's that they say there's billions of dollars worth of treasure in there.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is too, there's a rumor. One of the rumors about that door is that it goes directly to the ocean, and that if you were to open that door, it would let the ocean in and just flood everything with the ocean.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I've heard supposedly it does go down into the underground, access that you get in, and the doors are large. So it's a 12-foot human or so could walk through those doors, and the temple is not like it's heavily guarded. I mean, it is guarded. There's some modern cameras and stuff around it. It's a little bit of a tourist attraction, but when you look at the temple, you know that these doors and things are underground. I mean, this thing it's not like, it's just like this little wooden stick temple that's hoarding billions of dollars worth of treasures in vaults, and they're just sitting behind the wall there. But apparently it's been sitting there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Who knows how long?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, most of those buildings are what we're talking about too, because the construction of a lot of these temples and these spires, and even the Taj Mahal, this type of like a mushroom cap construction. And then if you look at some of the ones that are in Russia, there's there's actually like dots on there on some of them, and there's lines that raise up over the top of the dome. So there's it looks like some sort of a giant component almost. You know what I mean? And then so the guy put forward that these some of these older constructed cathedrals built with the secret architecture from the Temple of Solomon, and the generation of vibration or vibratories from these sites, that these weren't originally religious sites or had anything to do with religion at all, that these were actually devices that were powering up.
Yeah, it was like a microwave.
This is interesting. This is interesting. I've heard of, you mentioned Solomon, and Solomon, of course, was a magician that had access to technology. He apparently had a flying machine, and he also had control of the jinn he had like a high lieutenant jinn or a master jinn, which was a black jinn that stood by his side and controlled all of the other jinn. And they were his builders. They didn't like to use iron tools because the iron had metallic properties that interfered with the plasmatic nature of the jinn. And but they apparently so the existence of non-human or non-homo sapien individuals, like probably anybody that's 12 feet tall is probably not a homo sapien. They're probably maybe they've got a little Neanderthal in them or something like that. But apparently there were many different races, just not to get too far off on the sidetrack, but during that time period, even Christopher Columbus reports about talking with the Cyanocephali. These are the dog-headed tribes. You can actually Google Saint Christopher, or is it Saint Peter? Let me see.
It was Saint Christopher, the dog-headed. Yeah.
And doghead, and you'll see that there's one depicted there, or you just put in Cyanocephali, and so these are humanoid type creatures, or non-human, non-homo sapiens. There's also Homo capensis, and we were talking offline about the Saturday Night Live with their cone heads, that maybe they know something and they just sort of put that in as a joke, because we know that the people that sort of give us our culture, the people that give us our paradigm, that write the stories that we talk about, that write the lines for the entertainment that we talk about at the water cooler, they're indoctrinated into these secret clubs, quote unquote, if you will. Some might refer to them as a secret order, secret religion, secret society, but just a hidden knowledge that you aren't allowed to have. They're aware of this stuff. So I truly believe that they have open running jokes, and they do this kind of stuff in our face.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that feeling?
Totally.
Yeah. Have you ever had that feeling, like when you see this guy go up on, let's say, David Letterman, and they're talking to each other and they have this little laugh, and you think to yourself, they know something. There's some sort of inside joke. There's some sort of secret that these folks are sharing that they're not letting anybody else
Like
know.
Alec Baldwin talking about Hulu eating your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reptilian, he said he was didn't he say he was a reptilian shapeshifter at one point too?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's a weird character in and of himself, but a lot of this stuff, for whatever reason, for a long time I tried to figure out why would they want to keep the giants a secret? Why would they want to keep this a secret if this is something that they discovered? Why wouldn't they want to make the whole world aware of it? And it's obviously because if they were to do that, then the rest of the story doesn't make sense. So they'd have to come up with a whole new set of answers as to how and why, right?
Now,
right.
Think about
or
this
the technology
also.
they had. They don't want people knowing the technology that they had. They want to keep it to themselves.
And also just realizing that, you're at one point you're, let's say, trying to cover some stuff up, and then it goes beyond that when you realize that not only can you cover up stuff and keep it from getting out there, you can put your own stuff out there and literally steer humanity.
Exactly, and it
like
doesn't take very long.
Right, we can control the entire world. After a couple generations, we'll write the script. That's what they're saying. A bunch of, elite folks, families saying, hey, we will just completely dominate the entire paradigm from top to bottom. We will infiltrate every little head, every little state, every country, we'll have our group that will, and they'll probably, they do rule it with an iron fist, to reveal the secrets is death. To go against the group is yeah.
And anything you learn, it's because they let you learn that,
And imagine you're probably born into it in a lot of ways. You're groomed from, let's say, the very beginnings when you're first learning how to walk and talk, and you're probably taught that you are different by divine right, and that maybe that to look down, that there's a different caste system, that you're not part of the common folks, and so
they don't have a grip on actual the reality of most people's lives. They can't relate to that in any way.
The other thing,
so it's us and them. It's interbred. It's bred into them to be different and not part of us.
So this is also the history that's transmuted lip to ear. This is information that there's always been somebody who's the keeper of the flame.
Now,
if there's something,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if there's something that's going to happen, the flame keeper is protected and taken away somewhere, so that if something happens, that they'll be able to come back out and still hold some of this knowledge. And I think I've heard there's even 12 of these. Different people, scientists, philosophers. This was a group of 12 that's hidden away when something happens like this. But so thing is, if there's free energy and all this, ultimately the discovery of all this free energy floating around everywhere, at that point, is it become now, because there's somebody making money off oil, that the reason that technology is not going to come out? Because obviously, if you look at what Tesla had to offer, it's almost as though he was one of those flame keepers, In other words, he was just like this guy standing out in the middle of nowhere, but he had the keys that unlocked a lot of this stuff. Philadelphia experiment, all this stuff. The list goes on. But there's even a CIA reading document, CIA.gov. Tesla was a Venusian. Here from Venus or whatever. But I mean, I don't think we have to go as far as Venus to figure out that there's something else going on here that we're not taking advantage of, that was taken advantage of in the past, that made civilizations flourish. And
I think it goes way beyond money and political power too.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah. Imagine if you were approached and you're in, let's say, some astute family, and they say, hey, Jimmy, we need to show you something. They take you on a private jet or whatever. You get in the air. The jet starts going faster and faster and faster and faster and higher and faster, and you're like, wow, this is pretty crazy. Then all of a sudden you look down and you're over the ice. You go down, and yes, we're flying over Antarctica right now, and it's going faster and faster. Then things get a little bit green, and then you see off in the distance a great city, just absolutely like a wonderland. It's futuristic. There's flying cars.
Have you been there?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah.
There's
I told you I had to kill you.
It's like there's like all these paradise kind of parks and stuff, and they go down in there and they show you this wonderland. They say, okay, Jimmy, this is what's waiting for you. This is a secret continent that nobody on the earth knows about. You're still on the same planet, but nobody knows about this, and you have an assignment to do. You're going to spend the next 50 years or so, maybe until you reach your late 70s or 80s or maybe even later, doing what we tell you to do on Earth as they know it. When you're done with that, we're going to give you a magic pill. That magic pill is going to start reversal of the aging process. Your telomeres will start to improve over time. Now, it's going to take 50 years or so, but you will actually age in reverse till you reach the age you want to be, usually around 35, 20. And you will live that life, aging in reverse, here in the Paradise continent as your reward for doing our bidding on Earth on the other side. So you're going to go and you're going to be the head of a big corporation, and here's some papers, here's the little plan, what you're going to do, and your little timeline. Make us proud, Jimmy Jean, and we're going to reward you with a harem when you get back over here in 50 years. Deal?
72 virgins.
Sounds like
I know, that's what I was waiting for somebody to say.
Yeah, sounds like you got a deal. What was the name of that Disney movie where they had the little
Tomorrowland?
Was that what it's called, Tomorrowland?
Yep.
All right, yeah, we're gonna have to pull some clips out of Tomorrowland because I actually pull up the plot right now on it. It's an interesting idea. And it's exactly what you're kind of talking about there, Mr. Rowe.
And not only that, but just to make sure you know we're serious, we're going to come to you tonight in your dream, and then we might even demonstrate that we can kill you, come to you in your death, then bring you back.
Oh, the power of suggestion.
Just to make sure you understand how.
That's actually, that is a true story. That's a real line, but that's sort of that's not the basement. I think it goes, further than that.
There is no escape, but serve us well, and you'll be rightfully rewarded. Cross us, betray us, and you'll wish you never existed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not one of a betrayer. I'm if I give my word about something, you can take that shit to the bank, just like.
Is this a Scientology meeting?
Yeah, but no, seriously though. But
you're not gonna jump up on a table, I hope.
No. Isn't that what Joe Rogan said? He's like, you show me the UFOs, I'll sell my own mother out.
Oh, God.
Is that what he said?
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, check this out. Speaking of UFOs, that time frame you were talking about the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, and how Tesla was there and lit up the fair, right? It was immediately after that his technology started getting kind of, shifted to the side, other than his original AC power, like all the other free energy stuff. He was working on it, sure, but people, the powerful people in the industry, in the oil industry in particular, were keeping that on the down low, right? So they finally dismantled it in the 30s. But the thing is, right immediately following that World Fair, you had this huge airship flap of all these machines being seen flying around in the air all over the world, but particularly over Chicago. That was one of the main ones in 1897, 98, around in there. And then it happened again in 1908. And in 1908, we're talking about 1906, 1908, having those big fires, having the Tunguska explosion, have all these things happen. And now here we are 112, 13 years later, and you're having all these airship flaps now. this kind of not even soft disclosure, where it's on 60 Minutes and stuff, talking about all this stuff they're trying to reveal about these machines that fly without any noticeable means of power. Like in other words, they just kind of hid it away and waited for their time. Like, oh, okay, well, we've had this whole time, right? We've had it, but and long before 1897, I'm sure too, right? I mean, it's Vermont basically, and maybe before that, it's whatever they had.
People doubt the you know efficiency of those things, and you don't want to use one of these.
No, who wants that?
I truly believe that there has been an ancient, eons old rivalry between silicon and carbon, and this trickles down to our world in the form of digital versus analog, and that we took a horrible turn. We made a bad mistake when we went the digital direction, that Nikola Tesla tried to bring us into an analog paradigm that was more had an affinity to the earth, that had more of a carbon affinity, where humans and nature and the planet can coexist, and there are ways of doing things, of attenuating, fine tuning in the analog sphere that are equivalent or even better than the digital way of doing things, which is different, but the same can be achieved on both sides. But that is what I believe. What we're going down the wrong direction, because digital is not compatible. It leads to interference. Like now we have this electro smog with, the 5G kind of issue, the high frequencies, that they're using against us, and just it's all of that kind of interference. It's where, I don't know. And also, I kind of like the smell of vacuum tubes, but that's beside the point.
Well, the thing about it is, man, is the movie Tomorrowland, we weren't planning on bringing it into the conversation, but I'm definitely going to bring it in the conversation now. And I'm going to tell you something else. There's there's more here into this movie than meets the eye, because there's a secret society that's called Plus Ultra. And it seems like it's this little thing that's in this movie or whatever, and it's fake. But Tracy Twyman was working on Plus Ultra stuff, and it was said that Donald J. Trump was a member of this secret organization called Plus Ultra. Now, listen, the piece of this movie that really caught my eye was that the Eiffel Tower was built specifically as an antenna that could receive every frequency in the universe, and it was put together by Gustav Eiffel, obviously, Jules Verne, Nikola Tesla, and Thomas Edison. And they all founded this organization called Plus Ultra, a secret society of futurists creating Tomorrowland in another dimension, free to make scientific breakthroughs without obstruction. The trio used an antique rocket hidden in the Eiffel Tower called the Spectacle to travel to Tomorrowland.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I know, and I'm going to pull up now. There's actually, and Disney actually has an old LP that we can listen to some of the dialogue on it about Plus Ultra, because it's actually, the guy plays the record, and it's a record that was given out by the Disney Corporation. So, but what I want to do is I'm going to play this speech here by Governor Nix in Tomorrowland, and this is a key moment in the movie, and I think it's really actually very poignant to this, our current situation. My name's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosm.
Let's imagine if you glimpsed the future and were frightened by what you saw, what would you do with that information? You would go to politicians, captains of industry, And how would you convince them? With data? Facts? Good luck. The only facts they won't challenge are the ones that keep the wheels greased and the dollars rolling in. But what if there was a way of skipping the middleman and putting the critical news directly into everyone's head? The probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. The only way to stop it was to show it, to scare people straight. Because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've ever known or loved? To save civilization, I would show its collapse. But how do you think this vision was received? How do you think people responded to the prospect of imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise. They repackaged it. It can be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and sprinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, your Earth was crumbling all around you. You've got simultaneous epidemics of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies start to disappear. The glaciers melt. Algae blooms all around you. The coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. In every moment, there is the possibility of a better future, but you people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what is necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future, and you resign yourselves to it. For one reason, because that future doesn't ask anything of you today. So, yes, we saw the iceberg, we warned the Titanic. But you all just steered for it anyway, full steam ahead.
My name's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. I don't know what the hell just happened, but Plus Ultra. I got the documents right here. I got the documents on Plus Ultra. So it's Into the Microcosm. Aftermath.fm.
So around a red light, headlights flashing like shooting stars. In the fast lane, like an aeroplane. Never saw a tail light. Windshield cracked like an insane. Was a long flight, but I'm alright.
That's Chroma Key, You Go Now, 2000. We're talking about ancient technology that may exist right here, right now. And what do you guys think there about that clip there from Tomorrowland? And what do you think about this potential group here? Gustav Eiffel, Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison.
I like how he was like, yeah, these people are paralyzed by fear, and we're going to control them with it.
Yeah.
Not so many words.
So
it works. Hey, it works.
So what about that Taction Particle, Mr. Rowe? These guys stand on this thing that rides on Taction particles and zoom around all over back and forth in time. So,
yeah, tachyons. Yeah, well, particles are understood by our science, and in fact, I know that we have satellites that utilize types of particle beams to perform different things. The satellites are not just up there spying on you. They actually have particle beam weapons. They have tractor beams. They have drills. They have shields, molecular shields, beams that they can change they can attenuate them in different ways to spread them out. Everybody's heard of course, the directed energy weapons. So, that kind of stuff, phasers and that is a reality. It's just that it's not for the profane or the mundane, which is us.
So in this movie, I mean, just like we've pointed out over and over again, in this movie, people are identified in the world as someone who's got a really intelligence or some sort of way about them, and they're asked to come to this place where they can go exist and create anything they want because they're not, bound by the laws and principles of these governments and where we live. So, but what's interesting to me when I got into this movie originally was when I got into the plus ultra stuff, and I was doing it right around the same time that Tracy Twyman was looking at it. So we're kind of at the same time looking at it. Like, that happens sometimes in the alternative media. We all, for some reason, we resonate or harmonize around some subject matter, and then stuff starts coming out. So listen, I don't want to bore you with this, but listen, I got this original recording from 1965 World's Fair, and this is evidence of hidden plus ultra society audio. And so this is a piece of vinyl that was put out in the 1965 World's Fair about plus ultra. So let's take a listen, and if we get someplace here and you guys want me to stop it, just let me know. Danny looks like she's having a good time over there. Is your face hurt? Because you look like you're laughing.
It does a little bit. Is it just me, or does that sound like a tampon absorbency?
What?
Just saying.
Plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
Yeah. No, it does. It does.
Come on.
Give
me a break, man.
It totally does, man. But I'm just telling you, I'll see if I can dig it up while I'm listening to this with you guys. There's an audio that somebody put together that ties Trump to plus ultra. That he is a member of plus ultra. So that would tie into all this other shit that was out there, like Tesla technology, that his uncle or something got the paperwork and all this other shit. What is that, Epic Journeyman? What'd you put in there? So I can't look at those, because if I look at that, then Danny.
Okay. Yeah, that's the real tale of the Sonora Aeroship Club.
Well, cool.
Which is a pretty cool thing. It ties into this other Prussian secret society that also had these airships back in the 1890s.
Well, let's get into some of that in a minute. Let's listen to some of this here from 1965. What do you say, Danny? How do you feel about that? Okay.
On behalf of Walt, we want to welcome you to the 1964 World's Fair. As a token of his appreciation for your continued partnership and support, we have put together this commemorative album, which revolves around his favorite moments. Moments that may be best enjoyed as companions to the attractions themselves. Because we believe each attraction will live on for generations to come, we hope you take pleasure in the message of progress that each has to offer.
I am definitely taking pleasure in this message of progress so far.
I hope the message lives on anyway.
well, we're going to find out. I mean, these are seconds and moments that are going by that we can never get back. So, we may be going down a path, but like they say, if the path has no magic, that path is dead. So we'll see. Maybe there's some magic here. Maybe it's coming right. It's right around the corner.
Now, without any further ado, may the reverie begin.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
So far, I'm not seeing the evidence of plus ultra yet. Here, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pop it forward here.
Just a dream
the Robins are getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day today.
For Walt and the Society, this is a passion project that ensures things could be
better than they are today.
And in fact, they are. Maybe not in this world, but in a new world to come.
The moving pictures flicker up on a big screen.
We have immersive motion pictures that can show you this world, where we can travel using our minds to prepare our bodies for the inevitable physical journey.
And I even hear tell about two brothers in North Carolina.
Our immersive motion pictures also reveal flying contraptions with the power to reach any moon, any planet. The same power to drive these contraptions can be used to power appliances, transportation, global communications, to power people, to power peace.
Oh boy, it sure beats chopping wood. And isn't our new icebox?
The icebox. There are so many innovations that we keep on ice, ready to share with you and the rest of the world with your support if you choose to step with us through that door.
Carry water from a well. And thanks to progress
and the work of the Society, the dreams of tomorrow can be made manifest today.
Yes, sir. We've got everything we need to make life easier. Say, Mother, I was reading about a fellow named Tom Edison
who worked
on an idea
that paved the road to this new world.
Electric lights?
Oh, the Society has come so far in so little time, and we look forward to showing you the heart of the project. The advancements we have made are nothing short of electrifying. They will spark change in the lives of people everywhere.
Oh, that's right, folks. Now Sarah has time for other things like
canning and cleaning the oven.
Yes, two things that can be easily powered using the natural energy that surrounds all of us.
Probably never will.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get the laundry off the line before it starts raining cats and dogs.
Don't worry. After testing this revolution...
Okay, so I gotta stop this, man. Listen.
I totally just played Stepford Wives on Saturday night.
Well, listen, what I'm saying, what's going on here is there's one of these mechanized dummies on the stage on a set, and they're old-fashioned, and they're sitting in an old-fashioned kitchen, and they're saying these old-fashioned things while this guy's talking about the goals of the Society. And what's running through my mind right now is this is like 1965. And he's just sitting here, just, casually talking about stuff like the energy that exists around all of our bodies. Here, let me go back here. Listen to this.
Edison,
who worked
on an idea
that paved the road to this new world.
Electric lights?
Oh, the Society has come so far in so little time, and we look forward to showing you the heart of the project. The advancements we have made are nothing short of electrifying. They will spark change in the lives of people everywhere.
Oh, that's right, folks. Now Sarah has time for other things like
canning and cleaning the oven.
Yes, two things that can be easily powered using the natural energy that surrounds all of us.
Probably never will.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get the laundry off the line before it starts raining cats and dogs.
Don't worry. After testing this revolutionary technology, we've been able to harness not just the energy we can see. But the energy we can't.
All you have to do is put your wash on the line, right? Oh, well.
So here it is, man. I mean, people talking about free energy now, and you're a conspiracy theorist, and it's all bullshit. But here they were in 1965, highlighting some of Walt's favorite parts of this World's Fair. So what is the truth? I mean, is there number one, someone I think it was Chad just threw a picture in there of Trump's connection to Plus Ultra. So you can go in the chat room at aftermath.fm and check that out, and that's good, man, because let me tell you, I'm going to try to dig some other stuff up. Do you guys want me to continue on with this audio?
Sure.
Yeah? Do you find this interesting that they're just talking about this stuff casually? I mean, we're sitting here talking about it. Everybody's researching the mud flood and coming up with all these ideas about what might or might not happen, and here they are talking about the very same thing that we're talking about. But it's like right up, Go ahead.
Yeah, 1933 World's Fair is when Tesla brought it up again, basically, right? So here you go. I mean, and I'd already been working on the towers and all that stuff, and it got ripped off from them, basically. But the point being that it was a very real thing already. The proof of concept was already done, so I wouldn't be surprised that old Walt there was impressed, visiting the fair.
Well, wasn't
right? and
Walden Cliff...
papers and...
Wasn't that Walden Cliff Dome? Doesn't it look just like the Taj Mahal, man? The thing that he built out in,
New Jersey?
No, the thing that he put.
There's one in
Colorado. The one in Colorado.
Colorado's a big, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a tower with a dome on top of it, but those buildings that we see, like the Taj Mahal, they're not on a tower. They're on
It's
some.
too bad nobody catches those things lighting up here in the U.S. They do in Russia and India all the time.
Do they really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild. So I'm gonna get some more stuff on Plus Ultra. If you guys are interested, I'm gonna dig it up. I'm gonna dig up the make believe secret society that Disney made up. But there's all kinds of talk about Disney.
The 33 Club.
Exactly. I was gonna bring that up, but they try to equate this Plus Ultra thing to that same sort of thing. It's just like some made up Disney thing, but it's got a lot of ringing to it. To me, it rings true, man.
Isn't there like a 10-year waiting list? Like
to get into Club 33?
I'm sorry, my language. $14,000 like application fee or something like that.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous amount of money. I don't. It's probably more than that, but I don't know.
I think they celebrate diversity in that club too.
Stern was low anyway.
Wow, look at that.
This energy is free, and it's for everyone.
Using my new stereoscope. It's not a toy, you know.
Ooh la la.
We can light cities without consuming a single resource.
Isn't she a knockout? She's the star of
the Old World's Fair in Chicago.
And you put that away before your mother finds it.
Aw, Dad.
We can enjoy the modern extravagances of mankind without wasting a bit of nature's precious beauty.
It plays music right here in our home.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
She keeps that thing going all day long. Progress.
Did you let the parrot out?
The world will be lauding our progress for days,
It's
months,
not Wednesday
generations to come.
The world will be lauding our progress for days, years, and decades to come. So he's saying our progress, meaning this society plus ultra. They have a plan for us here in the world, and they're going to power our cities without using a single resource.
But only when we can meter it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm just sitting here and I'm going, okay.
Now that we have blockchain technology, we can meter everything.
Put the meter on this right here.
The moment we are prepared to trust them with it. The world can take this free energy to create their own innovations that will further drive progress without overtaxing the precious energy of our citizens. By tapping into this natural energy, the world can focus on using the most renewable resource on the face of this planet, people's creativity.
See, that's the key that I was trying to bring up earlier. The thing is that once this part of our existence is taken care of, we've mastered this ability to get energy where we need it. We don't have to run around and work like we did because things are just different. That's the point where humans or civilizations naturally going to evolve because they don't have to do the toil and the stuff that we do now. They have more free time to think and more free time to progress as a society because the value system changes. So it's interesting that when you take these things away, like for example, if you wanted to live autonomously and you had an aquaponics garden and you had some fish and you had some vegetables you're growing in there and you're taking care of 50% of what you eat, you don't have to pay for, and then you got free energy, you don't have to pay for that, then it means you have to earn less and less money. It's like money doesn't, at the point that you're self-sufficient, you really don't need money for anything at that point, right? So
I just built a solar generator.
Sweet, yeah. Well, you were saying, and tell people about it a little bit, man, because you were saying that thing was got like 3,000 watts or something.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You just the most expensive part of it really is the batteries. You have to choose what kind of battery you want, like whether it's going to be like a lithium, which are really expensive, or like the gel or hybrid HEM battery, which are fairly okay. And then you get your panels, which the technology is a little bit better now. And those go into a charge controller that goes right to the battery. And then it's real simple. The battery just goes to an inverter. or the battery bank, I should say. And depending on how you wire them up, whether it's parallel or series, you could keep it at your 12 or 24 volts or whatever you're going to go for, or you could step up the voltage as well. And there's different types of batteries. Now we're talking about Tesla. The company, those cars are nothing but a bunch of little batteries. If you take a Tesla battery and you were to open it up, you're going to find I think they're 18 550s or whatever they call those. They're a little bit bigger than a standard, battery that you put in your flashlight. But it's basically a whole bunch of those, and they just pack them all in these little battery banks. And people have been buying those surplus and using them to literally power their house as well. So you choose what battery you want. You could use all kinds of, those are a little bit more efficient now. So there's, so I was like sitting there playing around with it, and I'm like, okay, you're working with electricity, don't kill yourself. But I found that it's actually efficient enough where, with a few more panels, I mean, I could literally unplug my house if I wanted to. It's just I'm not somebody that uses a lot of power, but it's a lot better than, let's say, a gas generator, because you don't have noise, you don't have a finite fuel source. And,
yeah. Well, I gotta say,
when everybody else is freezing, they don't know that you're not.
Exactly. When it's when it's Mad Max and you got your generator, people are gonna be, that house, that's the one we raid.
Yeah.
Right. They've got the food.
I keep my panels in the yard in my house in Hawaii, in the Big Island, where it's below the fence line, so people can't see them.
Right. Well, listen.
But it's cool. Yeah, I've been running solar for a long time now, and what's cool is they have these things called Aqueous batteries, and they run completely off of seawater as electrolyte.
Oh wow!
So they're completely benign. They have no chemicals that can harm the environment whatsoever, and they're completely reusable.
Batteries are the best.
Yeah, and so basically, they take up more room than a regular battery, but you can run them all the way down, to zero, right, and recharge them and never affect it at all. All you have to do is change the saline solution basically every once in a while. It's awesome.
It's Aftermath FM, and I'm gonna tell you what, man. I am blown away, because that information I sent you earlier about the sword that I have, Charles V. Guess what? Plus Ultra has to do with Charles V. It's gonna blow your mind. I swear to God, it's gonna blow your mind. My name's Jimmy.
Well, there goes a girl and a half. She's got me going up and down. She's got me going up and down. Walking on the beaches, looking at the beaches. Well, I got the notion, girl, that you got some suntan lotion in that bottle of yours. Spread it all over my peeling skin, baby. That feels real good. All the skirts, lapping up the sun, lap me up. Why don't you come on and lap me up? Walking on the beaches, looking at the beaches. Well, there goes another one just lying down on the sand dunes. I better go take a swim and see if I can cool down a little bit. 'Cause you and me, woman, we got a lot of things on our minds. You know what I mean? Walking on the beaches, looking at the beaches. Well, you just take a look over there. Is she trying to get out of that clitoris? Liberation for women, that's what I preach. Preacher man. Walking on the beaches, looking at the beaches. Oh,
It's Aftermath FM. It's into the Microcosm. It's Mr. Rowe's Wild Ride. And man, it is a wild ride, because we're going to get right into Plus Ultra in 2 seconds flat. Mine's Jimmy. There's kooks in the soup. I repeat, kooks in the soup. That is all.
Pretend you're anything just to be adored, and what you need is what you get. Don't believe in fear, don't believe in faith, don't believe in anything that you can't break. Stupid girl, stupid girl, all you had you wasted, all you had you wasted.
Mother, before I was born, you got a boy child coming. Gonna be a son of a gun. Gonna make pretty women jump and shout. And then the world wanna know what's this all about. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here.
It's Jimmy. It's Monday night. Going into Tuesday morning.
I got the John the Conqueror. I'm gonna mess with you. I'm gonna make you girls lead me by my hand, and then the world's gonna know.
So, Plus Ultra. Secret Society. The Keepers of the Flame. Ladies and gentlemen. Where'd Tesla come from? Listen to this. Plus Ultra. Further Beyond is a Latin phrase and the national motto of Spain, Danny. It is taken from the personal model of Charles V, Danny.
Yeah, imagine that.
Imagine that. The Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain, Charles, as in a reversal of the original phrase non plus ultra or nothing further beyond, that was said to have been inscribed as a warning on the pillars of Hercules in the Straits of Gibraltar, which marked the edge of the known world in antiquity. Charles adopted the motto following the discovery of the New World by Columbus. And it is also metaphorical suggestion of taking risks and striving for excellence.
Yeah, that sounds like propaganda to me, unless you don't, unless you understand the alchemy of the situation.
Well, go ahead.
In the Dutch national anthem, the first verse has in it, let's see, faith to this land of mine, a prince I am, undaunted of orange, ever free, to the King of Spain I've granted a lifelong loyalty, and it goes on from there. But yeah, King of Spain's there again.
We were just talking
about the House of Orange or something. What was that?
We were just talking about this yesterday, Danny and I was saying, one of the things I wanted to look into was secret societies in Spain, because you don't hear of any. You know what I mean? Not that there isn't any, but when do you hear of them? You don't. And the thing is I have an antique sword here, and it has got an inscription in the handle, and the inscription is Carlos. It says Carlos V right on the handle, and he's standing on top of somebody jamming a sword into their gut, and there's angels that are standing on his shoulder, and this is all carved into the handle. There's skulls on the, and so the thing is pretty weird, because I wasn't planning on looking into Plus Ultra tonight. I had no idea Plus Ultra had anything to do with Carlos, and I sent Danny a whole bunch of shit on Carlos earlier today. So, I mean, it's just kind of weird, man. So maybe we're on the right track. You guys want me to continue with this audio from this record? We're halfway through about. You guys want me to finish it up?
I mean, I might as well not, bank on me talking about Red Mercury later. Not that I was actually going to talk about it, but,
Well, are you going to talk about it?
I'm just picking on you.
You can.
It's kind of cool, but,
The thing is, do you want to talk about it right now? Because, I mean, go ahead.
It's not a big thing,
It's not?
Let's just keep going with that. Well, I mean, obviously it is, but let's just keep going with this now.
Well, the thing is, obviously, but you know what we should do? Okay, we got a few minutes before the top of the hour. Do you want to go over to the chat room and shout out the Aftermath chat and then get into the Red Mercury? Because I can go back to this audio anytime. So I want to go what's hot on the tip of Danny's tongue right now is Red Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's in my brain all day today.
It's dangerous too, and
I used to break open thermometers to play with the mercury.
Did you really?
Yeah, but I was
apparently. I didn't think they put red mercury in those, but I hear tell that they did put some in there. But
the old ones, but the ones that I used to play with were the silver ones. I actually still have a thermometer here that has the mercury is red. Is that the red mercury talking about?
Well,
There's
what they
red
say
liquid in it.
is that that's alcohol, like ethanol or something, and it has red dye in it.
Okay.
And so I was learning. I was inside my head reflecting on this red mercury, and I was thinking to myself, I had this mercurochrome. I don't know if that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Bottle,
yeah,
and I threw it away because I got it all over my hands, and I was like, oh, this is gonna make me sick.
My mom used to put that on our freaking sores.
Look, I have another one. I found another one in my cabinet that I didn't.
Mercurochrome. I haven't heard that since I was a kid.
I've got some. It's all dried up, but there's still a little bit in there.
And when you open the cap, it has like a little stick that you can rub on.
Yeah, it's got like the glass thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. But I'm wondering, is this the same thing? Because apparently, red mercury goes for like millions of dollars a gram, and if you go ask Wikipedia, they're going to tell you it's, poppycock. So.
They call it a hoax. It said it was for making nuclear weapons, but just because it's used for making nuclear weapons, there's no official confirmation it exists, right? Because it's so secret.
If it was that, it wouldn't be
dangerous and it's not real.
They wouldn't be using it. Yeah, they wouldn't be using it. And of course, they did sell chemistry sets with uranium back in the 50s.
You can still get uranium. It's not a big deal.
Well, what was this?
I have a lot of it.
What was this thing that they had called radium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little bit of radium.
Radium was used also as a paint. Well, they put radium in paint because it made the glow. And a lot of people were buying these, like the watches back in the 60s and stuff. They had radium paint, and a lot of the old clocks, the glow-in-the-dark letters, that was all radium paint. And the women that used to paint that on, many of them got lots of crazy diseases. One of them was what they call radium jaw.
The radium girls.
They used to lick the paintbrush to make it fine, and the radium would get inside their mouth, and it gave them radium jaw. Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that's just like a localized irritation. Because
this one dude's jaw fell off. They used to give him radium elixirs, like it was a big common thing. Like snake oil salesman would sell this radium.
Oh yeah, you could get radium water too.
Yeah. It had like a little picture of the guy, highlighted, so it's cool. You get this radium elixir, it's going to make you live forever or whatever. And then, it's all great and handy until like this one guy's jaw just falls off one day. So, yeah, not a good thing.
Yeah, I saw some old time advertisements where people were using it to cook, and they had built these special ovens to hold this radium. And so earlier when you were talking about these fireplaces, that was something that I was thinking of. Is there was something like that in those fire?
Well, I don't know if I'm saying too much here, but that's the Antiquitech. That's the revolutionary Antiquitech is radium, and it's not. Think of Chernobyl. Like, they don't want you to go there because it's dangerous. But if you go there and look at what's going on, it's beautiful. Everything is thriving and it's gorgeous. And it's extremely just saturated in uranium. But, they had to get everybody out. This is my opinion, just saying.
I think you're onto something.
Because it's fucking, sorry.
No, I think you're onto something. I
loaded
think that
with uranium. So whenever you see something glowing green behind me, it's because of uranium. Like,
No, like maybe radium was a power source that they knew how to use that we don't. You know that.
And they were Victorian, like foot warmers. There were so many when they figured it out. It was sort of like the way they described it. It reminds me of now like oxygen absorbers that you put in Mylar bags when you're like for long term, like when you have horses and you got to put a bunch of oats in a bag. You don't want bugs to the larva to hatch in it. You put the iron powder in it and stuff like that. And it's like the way they used it is like this pad full of radium. And they actually made these big water dispensers that was like radium ore, like for your water, and you never heard of anybody getting sick from that until
now
they realized, hey, there's a benefit here. We can't let people hear about this anymore. So all of a sudden it's toxic. It's dangerous. Same thing with uranium. And I'm not buying it. I don't have a lot of radium. I have a few like watch hands. I don't have like a chunk of it out of the ground or anything, but I do have a lot of uranium glass. But it's collectible. Like it's. But they used to put up to 25% uranium, raw uranium, not like, concentrated like.
Yeah, so I'm seeing
uranium.
I'm seeing. I just in Pinterest I just typed in radium, and there's a million. You can go there and look at all the different ads from back in the day for radium, and it says right here, it says, let me see here, it says, where was it? Madame Curie number 88 radium framed graphic art. It's got Madame Curie number 88 on there.
That's surprising.
Back in what they called the Edwardian period, as when that was really booming, and they did some crazy stuff because they were just learning to play around with electricity at the same time, and they had
in the 20s.
Like even earlier than that.
Victorian,
yeah. And so what they would do, one of the things they did was they invented what's called the electric tablecloth, and you could just plug your illuminated candle into the tablecloth. Of course, that's where sometimes drinks spill, and they strung up their houses with electric wires that were just bare wires at times because they didn't understand there was no ground. They tried to use the first insulation for wires. They tried wood, paper, and all these other things that would burn.
They had arsenic wallpaper in Victorian times. Like I actually have one. Like I'm looking at it right now. I have like a 3-foot tall print from like late 1800s, and it's mostly green, and that's arsenic. Like I'm never taking that thing out of the glass. It's not coming out of the frame.
Whatever happened to Danny?
Yeah, I know. She ate the paint chips again, man.
They did some crazy stuff, and it took a while for humanity, quote unquote, to figure out just how electricity worked and what was dangerous and what wasn't, and but there were
I feel like at this point in history, modern, whatever you want to call it, if they tell me it's bad, it's probably good, and if they tell me it's good, it's probably bad.
Yes,
that's where my head is going.
The rule of inversion. Absolutely. Everything is so inverted. This is bizarro world. I have a question, opinions on the panel. Why did we abandon steam?
Yeah, exactly. Because now, didn't they just, isn't the whole reason for nuclear power reactor is to create steam?
Yeah.
But we used to make a lot of steam stuff, and they said, oh, it's not safe. Are you telling me everything else is? These gasoline-powered engines and all that.
Jay Leno has a steam-powered car that's freaking awesome from
he does.
1932 or something, somewhere in that era. Yeah, it has all the everything in it is run by steam. So it's steam-powered, but it also has that's the suspension is helped by it, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Listen to this.
These little knobs that you adjust it with.
Listen to this. Chadwick Myers in the chat put this in there. In the chat room over at Aftermath.fm. In the early 1900s, Nikola Tesla discovered an alternate dimension, an ideal place for plus ultra to establish an experimental community of tomorrow. Opening a way into this dimension would be the focus of the experimentation, after which the Tunguska event of 1908, a powerful explosion in the Siberian woodlands of unknown origin actually being caused by the plus Ultra experimenting with an atomic weapon to open a way into the other dimension.
Yeah, that's where all those trees are laying down, like from that like central point.
Is that wild, man?
Yeah, it was a 30 megaton explosion, approximately.
Right on the other side of the wormhole. Mother effer.
They're over there now.
That's what happened to Tesla.
That's what, you know what?
They fake their death and they get a double, and then they go over there and they're all partying.
Exactly.
And like,
That's exactly what I was just going to
Same
say.
thing with Leonardo da Vinci. Like he went into this cave for 6 months and came out and knew everything. Probably, maybe they went back in time and like chatted with him a little bit, and then they made the Da Vinci Code.
The famous event of his, right? Eureka! I found it. When it goes running through the streets naked. Eureka! I found it, right? And they say the story behind that is he figured out how to detect gold, right? By the weight of it, like to detect fraudulent. What do you call it? Counterfeit money and stuff like that, by the displacement of water in the bathtub, because he's in the bath and he suddenly realized that it displaces at a different rate, related to its mass, and that's why he was naked and running through the streets. But what if he found the other dimension? Eureka! I found it.
Yeah, man, that's exactly right. And it's good that
Or what if he just, didn't recognize that his molecules were densely packed and more than the water? I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
You didn't get that?
It's interesting that you brought up and you said gold, because part of what we're going to be talking about tonight is mines, and so we'll be getting into some of that after the top of the hour.
We're gonna go there too.
We're probably going to go there, and
That goes into the red mercury too.
There you go. And then we are definitely going to open up the phones for some interaction in the last half hour, like we do every night. So get ready for that. Get ready for this, and get ready for finding out how these mines may tie into exactly what we've been talking about. Antiquitech is the word of the night. Now, here, I found something here. It's called Take Back Tomorrow, and the name of this channel is Stop Plus Ultra. Okay, we're spinning the wheel, we're rolling the dice, and we're throwing a dart. I have no idea what this video is going to say.
Wow.
We're just gonna do it, and I'm gonna see if there's any synchronicity.
I hope so.
I thought I got a signal. A preview of Tomorrowland, a vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievement, a step into the future, with predictions of constructive things to come. Tomorrow offers new frontiers in science, adventure, and ideals, and the hope for a peaceful and unified world.
Interesting. I think we're gonna have to look at Disney coming up here pretty soon, man. I think we're gonna need to do a 2-part piece on Disney itself.
We have Disney Build Back Better.
Yeah, but you can come in. Once you can come into the park,
you'll reset it and build back better.
As long as you have your passport, you can come into the park.
Think of it as a great reset. The entire world will
the great reset.
Better. Yeah, Klaus. Anything you say, Klaus.
I think Klaus might have been wearing a Plus Ultra uniform when he was making that speech.
You saw that uniform he was wearing that one time?
I did.
Like he was out of Star Trek.
Yeah. What was I think somebody
that
said
was just Plus Ultra uniform.
I think what someone was saying had something to do with the Baha'i religion. I think it was actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I could buy
but still,
that.
It does look straight out of Star Trek.
I could Baha'i that.
I'm kind of okay with that though.
Yeah, I mean.
In general, not with Klaus Schwab.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, man, owning shit keeps you tied down, doesn't it? I mean, I'm just saying,
Are you going commie on me, Jimmy?
No, I'm just saying, travel light and, walk softly and carry a big stick. That's what I'm saying. What's down below, man? What is down underneath the ground, ladies and gentlemen? Lizards. It's going to be the revelation of the method. That's right. Tesla. The invisible forces of the universe. he had harnessed them.
And lizards.
Was he a Venusian? I don't know. I know this. Times they are changing. Maybe it's time to shut it all down. Listen to the Microcosm. It's aftermath.fm. This ain't your granddaddy's late night. It's midnight on the West Coast, the best coast. 3 o'clock, the witching hour. The Red Queen's abode. Aftermath FM. It's in the Microcosm. Talking about Antiquitech. This is OSI Shutdown. I'm gonna shut down the OSI because there's bunghole talk going on in the chat room, and that's always a signal that the music's been playing too long.
Are you threatening me? I can't do it.
I don't see anybody else in here. You must be talking to me. No, listen. Do you want to go shout out the chat room real quick, and then we'll get into some of the mine stuff, because I know Mr. Rowe was chomping at the bit earlier on the mines, and we sidetracked him with the Antiquitech.
Awesome thing.
I know. Do you want to you want to shout him out? I see Big James is over there. Go ahead.
Yeah, big old James. Hey.
What's up, Big James?
Big James. And Braids.
Hey, what's
Carson
up?
Chadrick Myers. Chris from the UK. DB12. D Coon. Haterazzi. Hey, how's it going? It's real now too. Jay Kreider. Hi. I don't get it. Jew, the favorite one, you know,
Mazel
that
tov.
awesome one. That weirdo, Jimmy Jean.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, man. JTFU 101, Lily Cat. Hi, I've not seen you. Hi, how's it going? Mary Jane, Massacre Moody, Michael 13, Mike 7171.
Hey, Mike.
Mrs. Ran Mac. Oh, my North just came out there, didn't it?
Did. I heard you. Yankee. You're the Yankee.
PLF 5403, Scolio 3, Solos, Space Monkey, Sunspots, Supernat 1974, T-Bow, Two-Tone, like, I like that. Unusual, Weird, Crazy Girl Danny, and Will Call Magic. Yeah.
Nice. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it, man. We're having a good time, and, you know, we organically got onto this Plus Ultra thing. So, I mean, it's a show in and of itself, but there it is.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me.
Yeah, so there it is, and it was a tie to that Carlos shit from earlier, so it's really a mind blower to me. Epic Journeyman, Dr. Rowe, There's gold in them there hills, aren't there?
Ah, dobro.
Wait, is there gold in them hills, man? Was there gold in them hills, or were there?
I tell you where there's gold. Here's a golden sort of random question that just popped into my placeness. Does anybody here know what ambergris is? Anybody? Ambergris.
No, I do not.
Nobody
Is
else?
that like a potato chip?
Epic Journeyman, guesses?
Show your hands, man. No Googling.
No Googling. Quick. Ambergris. Chat room?
You lost.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Ambergris is very valuable. Ambergris is found on the beach. Ambergris. Oh,
Sorry.
somebody's memory
Is
is
it
being-
GRIS?
Yes, ambergris. AMBERGRIS. Some people say it's whale poop. Sperm whales, when they migrate, and the migration patterns and times a lot of times are kept very secret because there's a community that hunts ambergris because it's either whale poop or whale vomit. They know it comes from whales, and it has this unique characteristic that it makes it very, very, very valuable. A piece of ambergris the size of your fist can be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. A piece that's several pounds can be several million. Now, it's sought after by perfume companies, but in a lot of places it's illegal. But the perfume companies want it so bad that they'll literally black bag it. They'll like set up a little meeting with you anonymously and pay you off, to get that ambergris. It's what people say. It's like they'll find you if you really want to get rid of it. The corporate world has ways of getting you. But just
Sort
as
of like that rhino ivory, right? I never would have guessed that. And the reason I knew GRIS is because I'm a jewelry person, and I know the verdigris, like the nasty green stuff that builds up, in the crevices because people don't wash their stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing about ambergris is it's actually benign as far as because there's no abuse to the whale. It's a naturally occurring thing. It's like as the whale is swimming by, some people think it's like a hairball thing.
Haterotzi.
It's whale snot.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it would be useful as a tracking mechanism for people who wanted to hunt them, maybe.
Mr. Gates in the chat room says it's an oil from whale vomit. Haterotzi. Yeah. It's an oil from whale vomit. There you go.
So
but
it's not
like
the
consistency. The consistency is almost like a rock. When you find it, you can tell it's not a rock. It looks like an orange to brownish rock. You're like, what is this stuff? But it has a weird smell, and it has a consistency that is like a really, really hard wax. And then you've got something.
So is that's different than like Baltic amber, right? Or is it the same thing?
Well, I don't know.
Because people they find amber most of the time at the beach.
It could be that, yes. It could be from different whales as well. Now
unless it's Jurassic Park.
The one that they really want is the stuff from sperm whales, and so, now the rhino horns and stuff. You're hurting the rhino. I do not agree with that at all. But hey, if you can find whale vomit on the beach and make a couple bucks, I mean, no harm.
Well,
no
you
foul.
know what? It brings a song to mind. You were saying, it's like a rock.
Aww. Oh.
Stood there boldly, sweating in the sun.
I'm just teasing you, man.
Everybody wave your lighters in the air.
Felt like number one.
We'll just stay with it until it says like a rock, and then we'll get out.
Okay.
I never felt that strong.
Yeah, I was
like a rock.
There it was, like a rock.
I've been
like Will Snot.
There was a commercial, I think it was like a rock. It was like for insurance or something.
You remember when it was a big deal when all of a sudden they started actually using songs in advertising? Like people got all pissed off. They're like, "Hey man, what's up?"
Dude, I remember I was part of a group of people protesting the introduction of commercialization on the internet. When I was attending, like with the Electronic Frontier Foundation meetings at 2600 and stuff, and we were at the same time fighting these companies where we're going to come on the internet before there was commerce, before there was e-commerce, and we fought against it. And now I'm just as guilty. I participate in e-commerce, almost daily, sometimes. So, but yeah, there was a time when the internet was, I was thinking earlier, a lot of people say, hey, once you put it on the internet, it's there forever. I beg to differ now. I think a lot of times once you put it on the internet, it's about to get deleted, with the way everything's been inverted. There was a time where the internet was this open, free speech, liberated, just, anything goes, wild, wild west place where information can be freely. I mean, I remember Usenet and the boards there, and that just everything. In fact, too much, there people had to, and now we have an inversion again where it's, people are going around looking for stuff to remove. I mean, entire platforms are it's weird. There's platforms, that it's okay. Take a deep breath.
Wasn't it about 92, the little girl with the dark hair going, the information superhighway?
Yeah.
I remember that commercial.
Yeah.
It had the feel of the Mazda Zoom Zoom commercial.
I used to call bulletin boards BBSs, and I got my first phone bill in a manila envelope and had to learn how to do a phone freak and stuff. That's what got me into it. When I had to learn how to.
Freak? No, you just say that.
That was back in the day, man. If you know how to, that's how old school Mr. Rowe is he knows how to phone freak, ladies and gentlemen.
I know John Draper. I know Captain Crunch. We met at a 2600 meeting in San Francisco.
No.
They still meet, as far as I know. I think it's either the first or last Friday of every month near the Mrs. Fields Cookies right there at the Embarcadero.
Nice.
And we used to meet. We used to go trashing, which would be like we'd go at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning through the financial district to like the phone company and stuff, and go through their dumpsters and other places to find user manuals. We got the Cosmos system, how ESS, electronic switching system, works. So we learned how to use the phone systems. We had it, we were we were having fun with the technical. Then after the BBSs, during the same time actually, you had ARPANET and DARPANET, which was the first internet you'd get on going through the universities. You could call the universities, then Telnet from the university on to DARPANET, and there was a World Wide Web. There was Gopher and Archie and basic email and stuff like that, and then that kind of evolved from the MILNet and ARPANET to the internet of today. And like I said, I remember when there was the big controversy of corporations and companies were about to jump onto the internet, and they had all these lawyers, and that was a thing. That's why the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, was created, because they were trying to keep the internet open, wide, and free. And then the argument was made, well, if it's open, wide, and free, then we should be able to allow companies. And okay, that's a pretty good argument, touche. So they did, but now it's kind of evolved beyond that, because since it was they say, well, you've got things like child porn and drugs and things like that. Okay, we can understand that. And that's a slippery slope, though. Once you give somebody the authority to police something, at first it's honorable. Yeah, of course you don't want child porn on there. But then, we also don't want this on there. And then we take a little step further. We also don't want this. And then next it's like, we don't like what you're saying because, that might be hurtful. It's gone way beyond the honorable defense of children to just outright, we control you.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, let me ask you this question now, because there's been this talk for a long time that the original internet was started specifically for CERN. Now, is that true or not true in any of your estimation?
CERN has a huge part to play in the creation of the internet, and some people argue there's also a reason why it's called the web and the net.
And a Silk Road situation.
Everybody's on it. It is sort of kind of ensnared everything. But yeah, CERN CERN was one of the major players of the internet from the very, very beginning. I think they invented stuff there. You know, they were, now, was it created for them? I think maybe it's a interdimensional communications tool on a very basic level. One thing the internet does do is you can model it off of the human brain in many aspects.
Wow.
There's a lot of independent nodes, each of us, right? And of course, how complex it can be is each node is complex in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know how each node is going to interact with with other nodes.
Right. It has to be, or it wouldn't be effective.
Well, you know what was really interesting? Do you remember, might have been a year or two ago, there was this big thing that happened where they shut down this observatory?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Okay.
Yes.
Didn't they blame it on like an earthquake or something?
No, they said there was porn in the trash can or something. I think it was.
Yeah, but it was like it was during the solar eclipse or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm bringing it up. So listen.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm listening to Clyde Lewis show one night, and this dude calls in. He says, "I'm so and so from such and such, blah blah blah." So he's gonna come and drop some information. So this is not, I'm not saying this. This is what a call that came in, and I remember it verbatim. So the call comes in, guy says, "Yeah, man, people don't really realize that these telescopes are networked, and that they're utilizing technology to turn the telescope into a particle beam type laser weapon, and that they could use it to cause CMEs, coronal mass ejections, and that these certain observatories, telescopes had been utilized and networked somehow, and they had said, this guy was saying that operation or that technology got hacked by the Chinese or somebody." But the point is that same...
Did they ever reopen that place?
I don't know, but the same network that this guy was talking about, he also included CERN in that conversation. That the network had to do with CERN, and they were doing something that had to do with the sun, and they had some thing going on, and that somehow it got jammed up with whatever happened there. I don't know what actually happened because it was a couple years ago, but it's relevant to the conversation that we're having now. That's why I brought it up. So it's just because, then
there was
that reminds me of like the Jesuits and their Lucifer telescope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's up with that?
Well, I don't know what's up with it, but I did look into once I heard that on Clyde's show. Then I went and looked into the possibility of being able to use a telescope as some sort of a device, and it turns out that level 3 has such a device, and there actually is a technology that kind of lines up with what that guy was saying, which makes it kind of trippy in general, just because
I can see that.
You know what I mean? There's there's a possibility. Yeah, go ahead.
That observatory would have been able to see the coronal mass ejection event that we were projecting was going to happen.
Like they saw the future.
And so that's the one that gets shut down. I just think that's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, and it kicked everybody out of there too. Not just at the actual observatory, but in the whole town.
Like
the FBI
everybody.
ran everybody out of town. Yeah, just like a close encounters with the nerve gas. Very suspicious. It ran everybody out of there.
Yep.
And it did track with a lot of things that it could have potentially caught at the time. As far as CERN goes, that's true. That the reason everything you talked about with nodes is right. Like what was happening with the nodes in that case back then was the computer processing power wasn't big enough to model the nuclear reactions that were going on with the particle collisions. So they were trying to tie all these other computers together individually to use collectively, right? And that's what those nodes were. So it's pretty hard to still do it at the kind of connection speeds they have, but
it's almost like a
concept.
It's almost like a pilot of Bitcoin miners.
Yeah, it is actually in a way.
No, that's what you know what I mean. It's like the concept of it, and now that's what it is. But back then, they were using all these people's computing power, to make stuff happen, right? So that was.
like all the little hamsters running in the wheels.
Mhm.
That's
Or you're like in that little bubble filled with the fluids, and you're feeding energy into the system by laying in there clicking on your shit all day. Yes, you do. Everybody does. I do it.
Goodness.
Everybody does it. You can't help it.
human resources.
That's right. Human resources. Well, Jordan Maxwell, he was a smart dude, wasn't he? He's been hurt, and now he's in a facility up in Oregon, and Jeff Reds has been helping him out. So he seems to be getting healthier, but he was having some issues. But Jordan Maxwell was a key figure in a lot of revelatory discussion about a lot of this shit. And that's one of the things he was saying.
You think he got his trepanation before he got to leave?
Well, he's not dead yet, but I mean, I don't know. The thing about him is he's an interesting character. He is one of the. I don't know, man. I feel bad for the guy in a lot of ways because he did a lot of research, brought a lot of stuff. People made careers out of shit that he said, and he never got a penny, man. And he
did pioneer it. You got to give him that.
Yeah.
He did pioneer a
That's
lot of stuff.
though. That's how it goes.
He used to do slideshows at people's houses.
Yeah,
like
man.
just actually have people meet up in the neighborhood and get 5 people together just to do these slideshows.
Yeah.
That's how he got started.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that, really tried to get information out. Stuff here now, stuff's coming to light. Like I say, man, to me, there really wasn't any evidence of any of this shit until I started looking at it. And then, obviously, that's what happens across the board with the internet. Now, once people get onto something and they realize what they're actually looking at, then all of a sudden, all these other pictures that didn't mean shit before, they all of a sudden are making a case. Because all of a sudden these weird pictures of these buildings with, 10 floors below the dirt with windows every floor, every 10 feet, So it's an interesting concept. Now, I wasn't aware that mines had anything to do with any of this now. But you guys, especially Danny, was like super hyped earlier about these mines. So there must be something here that I haven't heard about any of this stuff. So I'm super stoked to hear about it now. And when we get to the bottom of the hour, open up the phones. But in the meantime, do you want to lay some foundations so that you guys can get into some of this? Because I'm really, like I say, I'm really super interested about these mines. Because I've been recently watching some dude who got a ghost town of his own. It was a mine. And he lives on there. And that's all he does is just go around his mine and look at shit and go, oh, yeah, I think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make myself a writer's cabin over here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, like the basic level, like it's more of the staging, like post reset staging. If you want to get back into the, mud flood Tartaria cover up situation.
Yeah.
If you go into a mine, you have these like rickety wood ladders going down hundreds of feet, and like who actually was going to survive that with a blast? Like they're supposedly using dynamite, and the ladders are fine. They're okay, and so they put these in here for people who want to go look at it and oh yeah, well this was a mine, and it's all staged in my opinion. Basic level.
Well, so what are you saying? So okay, so let me get the premise of this now. I just picked it up real quick on that little bit that you said there. So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that when one of these resets is coming up, that what happens is they take a whole bunch of shit underground because they know it's going to happen. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I think by now a lot of people kind of are, even though the government, wasn't it last year? They're like, yeah, we're having these battles underground. That's why you're hearing these boom sounds.
Yeah.
It's in these caverns under the ground, and we need more soldiers to go down there and fight.
I know Dr. Ro was mentioning that a few times in relation to the Nevada desert there, or California desert, with some of that stuff that was going on, the earthquakes and all the shit that was happening down there.
Yeah, and they have like the booms map that supposedly matches the Walmart shut down FEMA camp maps, and who knows? I mean, I think that's more of like a Q situation,
Like
and I'm not sure
Helm,
how true that.
Yeah, it's the
that
Jade.
is, but
It's the Jade Helm 1 scrape that they put together. Data
but
scrape.
I mean, what he and I were, briefly discussing earlier, because we both are obviously aware of it, and it's like the most interesting thing in the world, is that, you know, if you go inside, you know, a cave in a place that it doesn't even have to be a mine, just, you know, a mountain that has a cave that's not frequently accessed, the inside of it looks like you're inside of a cavity of a body. And I mean, there's rib cages and spinal cords and vaginal, you know, things going on there, and it's bodies. It's you know,
It's
the
interesting.
movie Maui.
Well, you know, I saw a picture yesterday of it looked like a giant who was crouched in sort of like almost like a fetal position.
Now, you mean there's a difference? What I differentiate, a giant is like somebody that's human, almost like several feet higher than a human, maybe up to 20 feet tall.
Really big.
But then there are titans.
Titans,
Yeah, no,
right.
this was a titan. I mean, this was a mountain that was stone, and it was like it was stone, and the dude was petrified in almost like this fetal position, and you couldn't really see it, man, at first. But then you looked at it, and then I looked closer, and it was people walking in between his fingers, and you could see his fingernails. It looked like mine. You know, you could see his fingernails, and the people were like this. You know, people were like, you know, 1/8 of an inch tall compared to the dude's finger. That's how big the giant was that was frozen into stone. I mean, literally, you know, and it was like petrified, like a petrified log or whatever. It's like a giant mountain. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean, I got excited when I saw that thing because I was like, I never saw anything like that.
If you Google image right now, you can Google image the term "mountains are dead giants," and just the first images that come up, you'll see the one that has this humanoid type figure that's laying down. There's several that you can see, like the heads and stuff of what is possibly petrified titans, and then, you know, these are massive, of course, mountains, and like you know, Danny was saying earlier, there are caves. In fact, you can also Google image vaginal cave, and you will see several that look like the vaginal opening, and then you go through the cave and you're in the birth canal.
Right. Yeah. And thanks for reminding me of that, because I get fixated on, you know, the ribs, but it's so much beyond that. There's the entire body. It's visible. You can find it.
Yeah.
And when you see things like the ancient megalithic trees, like the Devil's Monument, that you know, the one that's made famous by Close Encounters of the fourth kind, whatever it is, you see this looks like a mountain, a tree stump now, and that's the inside. So imagine if there's a mountain-sized tree stump, imagine the size of the trees. Now, was there an age of silicon, or was there a time when these things, you know, and if there was an age of silicon, could it be that maybe these trees had gemstones for fruit kind of thing, or was there a transition from the age of silicon to the age of carbon, when, you know?
I don't know. I think it's I think it still is. I think the carbon thing is more of a it's a toxic situation.
Well, there's an interesting thing about that, right? We're talking about coal shell and things like that, right?
Now remember,
the entire
we are
Permian Basin
creatures of carbon.
Those creatures only exist there.
Right.
We don't see any other evidence of them other outside of there.
Well.
And there's also talk of what's called Gorgon technology, which
Gorgon,
which was used in a later epoch. So you have the Titan epoch, where you have these huge megalithic trees and huge creatures of stone, and you can even see petrified like elephant-like creatures and things that are just, some people say, oh no, it's just a coincidence, the formation of the rock, but there may have been an entire epoch, and then these things died out long ago, and the ruins became these mountains. And some of the evidence, if you look at the Grand Canyon, they'll tell you, well, this carved out over a long time from the river and da da da. Was it, or was, or is that an ancient quarry?
I mean, look at the names of each section. It's named, different temples. The temple of this Egyptian goddess and this Egyptian god.
There's a forbidden zone where apparently there's entryways into the rock that are used by large humanoid creatures, or were at one point. And there's reports of people that have been lost there. There's a cover story back in the 50s about an airplane that went down. Right. They found a lot of gold. They found Egyptian and Chinese things in there, which denotes that they had contact with the other side of the world. In fact,
I don't think they can really deny that anymore, because the writing has been found in too many places in modern times.
As recent as the time of Marco Polo. Marco Polo's father sold Marco Polo's father was a merchant. He was a well-to-do guy. Sold his son Marco Polo to Kublai Khan. Yeah. The Kublai Khan dynasty. So Marco Polo goes and becomes like an emissary in China, and actually traveled with the Chinese fleet across the Pacific.
I'm like, that's my thing. I keep telling people that. Like, dude, he was here in like the 1200s, man. He was spying for China. He was actually in California.
Absolutely.
I'm serious.
And I've seen there's these walls here in the Bay Area, and they actually go all the way down the hills from the Bay Area way down into the middle of California.
Was I not just telling you guys that, Jimmy?
You were.
Like 2 days ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And these...
Like, seriously.
These stone walls, one of them is called the Berkeley Mystery Wall, and they're supposedly like, we don't know where this Berkeley Mystery Wall comes from, blah, blah, blah. And it's just a little rock wall that's still up there in the hills, and it goes all over the place. It's very similar to what they call the Chinese Wild Walls, which were built at the same time back in China during the time of Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan, and they came over here. And there's maps. They actually have Chinese maps that show
that Marco Polo was involved with, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't show people publicly the ones that look like that. They only show them the big, the Great Wall of China. That's the only version you get. You don't get the regular, like, stacked rock version that's in California. Exactly. Somebody might pay too much attention.
Well, you know what I've always wondered is, has anybody ever wondered what's under the wall? Like, is there anything under that wall? Is that the top of the wall? I mean, you know what I mean?
That's probably like the very
good question.
Top of the wall.
Big electric tram, big rail underneath there.
Well, because back to like the mines and things like that, there are a lot of underground things. I mean, just under the city of L.A., there's back in the 1920s there was a newspaper clipping article, but even the natives that were here when we first got here from the West talked about the cities deep below the Los Angeles area that was inhabited by reptilians, lizard type creatures, and that's something that's kind of like an old legend. A lot of people in LA know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a show. I did a show with Kev Baker about the underground passages in Los Angeles. So there was so the Native Americans, there's legends there about these reptilians, but there was an old man that developed this radar system where he was trying to figure out if he could find oil. And so he was looking around and he found a tunnel, and then the city gave him a bunch of money to go look inside this tunnel. And apparently when he went inside this tunnel, he went inside there and there was all kinds of stuff they found, and then it's kind of got shut down and no one ever heard about it again. But the thing, is it ties right into what we talk about the Playboy Mansion, and how a lot of these mansions, they had tunnels that went to the Playboy Mansion, and they're like, oh yeah, it would cost millions of dollars to build these tunnels, but really maybe the tunnels were there already, man. And they just boop, popped a hole. But go ahead, you guys.
Right. Well, I was just gonna say, like, the ones in Cincinnati, they said they were making it for subways, but they built the whole thing. They just never put the trains in there.
I used to play underneath in Chinatown under these tunnels. My dad would go and play cards and mahjong with his friends, and I, as a kid in San Francisco and right on Grant Street, in the back of the shop. There's a stairway that goes to the spiral stairway, goes right downstairs into the Chinese network of tunnels, and they actually have it's like a little mini mall. They've got little tiny little caverns or little crevices where like there's a woman in there doing nails or something. And I mean they have their own. It's like an underground. It's like an underground mini black flea market kind of thing, or black market.
Right, like in Atlanta. Atlanta had that too. They ended up shutting it down, but yeah, Portland too. Right, Portland had it.
And then in the Presidio, which used to be a Spanish fort, I went personally with a buddy of mine inside the bunkers, and we went down under the ground, and we went, a good ways in, and we came to a sealed door. It was a big metal door, and we were banging on the door, and we could hear it like echoing, like doo 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 doo. And we were later told from folks there that those things go underneath the Golden Gate to the north side, and all through down, they connect all the way down the coast for quite a ways. And those are, quite old. They've been there. They said apparently they were there. They weren't dug out by the Spanish, that they were there when they got there. And that was one of the reasons why the Spanish used the Presidio as a fort, because, there was no Golden Gate Bridge, but there was an underground passage that went underneath to the north side.
Well, what's interesting about that is there's a bunch of controversy around that whole facility up there.
Oh yeah, Aquino is very famous in that area. Michael Aquino was stationed
okay, so
there.
now you said his name twice, so next time you have to say he whose name will not be mentioned
right.
from now on.
And Gorbachev, by the way, also lives there. Mikhail Gorbachev. I said his name twice too.
Well, listen, so the thing is there was a lot of disappearances around there, and it's interesting because, if there's an underground network of caverns and catacombs underneath there, which there probably is, I have a buddy, Carl Street, who is literally, I shit you not, head of security of that Presidio. During the key moment, man, during 60s and 70s time frame.
Was he Army?
Yeah.
Was an officer. Commissioned officer?
Why he wasn't. I don't know what his status was at that particular time as far as what his level of rank was, but I can definitely get him on. The thing is, we've had him on to talk about it before, and there's only he's still, even though he's old, man, he's still a lot of shit he can't talk about.
Well, of course, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But he used to give the exam. He used to give officer exams in the military at some, prestigious school somewhere in the Midwest. I'm not real sure. I can't remember what it is now. It's too many.
There's a naval weapons station out here, and it's a huge underground complex where they've got, literally warehouse levels that go, there's rumors of it goes deep, and then all the hills are hollow, and you can see the bunkers, the trains, you can see the tunnels from the highway. You drive and you can see where the trains go right to the side of the hill, and these little slits into the hill, and you see the doors where the bunkers are right on the side of the mountain, and they've got dozens and dozens and dozens of these. And it's a weapons storage facility. Back in like the 40s, I think it was, there was a huge explosion out on the Port Chicago side. And it's famous. It's like they call it the Port Chicago explosion.
Well, just think about the Trans-Bay Tube.
Yeah.
Where Bart goes under the bay.
Yep.
I mean,
I get nervous every time I used to go. I hate that
thing, man. Hey, man, I was literally a quarter of an inch away from getting the contract of putting this Radiax cable all through those tunnels for Nextel. I missed it by that much, man. Seriously. And I mean, what we were going to have to do is be on these dead train cars and be on the roof of the train cars, and then yeah, so I didn't get it, and in retrospect I'm glad I didn't. But I mean, the dudes who built, some guys got a contract to build the tunnel in Chicago, and all they had was a pickup truck and a shovel when they got the contract. So anyhow,
there's what's cool is like some of these urban explorers that have gone through like some of the New York subway areas. They have some closed stations and stuff, and some closed lines, and New York has what they call the steam pipe people as well, and there's under the skyscrapers and stuff in New York are levels and levels of steam pipes, and the steam pipes are warm, and the steam pipes are many, so they're maze-like, so you can get lost in them. And so there's a whole community, the steam pipe people that live down there in the steam pipes. Yeah, and so they're like the mole people. There was a group that was living down in the tunnels underneath Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And they
you
had
mean the geothermal heating isn't just for our houses?
No, it's got residual use. It's dual use, so it's kind of like, totally sustainable. And,
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt everyone for a shout out to the YouTube chat.
Please do.
Yo, YouTube.
Hey, Patricia Croft, Vernay Sauce. How do I say, speak French for me, y'all?
Oh, Perriette. Her name's Peppy.
That sounded good.
That's
can't
Peppy.
Do that.
That's Peppy. That's her name.
Okay.
Her real name.
John Nelson.
Hey, John.
Epic's even in there.
Hey, Epic, what's going on, man?
Ginger Sugar Bush, yay!
All right, Ginger Sugar Bush.
Sean Rakes and I think this guy named Ken, the Rotman's in there.
Oh, cool. What's up, Illuminati? It's evil.
Yeah.
It's evil, man. Evil. All right, listen.
Moose Girl. Don't forget Moose Girl.
Don't ever forget Moose
Super
Girl.
important.
It's time for a 420 break, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play a bit.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and when I do, that's the time to call in. Okay? 626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. What do you think about those pictures I put in there? Man, there's no doubt that is a giant who is laying there. Turned to stone, man. 626-999-4761. You know what I'm saying? You guys remember this one? This is when commercials first started coming into rock and roll. When they first started bringing rock in, and Neil Young, he copped an attitude. It's like, you know what, man? I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let you sell me out like a chump down the river. So he came up with a little number. Remember the Spuds, Mackenzie? That pit bull they used to have with the chicks?
Budweiser.
Yeah, they'd always be with these like hot girls in bathing suits at the beach. Spuds Mackenzie.
Spuds was in on it too.
Spuds. The social engineering was running deep. It's like the same time where people were going, "What's up? What's up?"
No.
Neil
We're just
Young.
gonna pretend that never happened. What's that? No, it didn't.
What's that? Here's Neil Young. This note's for you.
Ain't singing for Pepsi. Ain't singing for Coke. I don't sing for nobody. Makes me look like a joke. This note's for you. Ain't singing for Miller. Don't sing for Bud. I won't sing for politicians. Ain't singing for Spuds. This note's for you. Don't eat no cat.
So, while we're waiting for somebody to give a call in, if they're gonna call, I'll give you a couple more seconds here. I'm gonna tell you about something that I heard about the other day that I thought was pretty cool. Well, not cool, but interesting. So you know when Michael Jackson was doing that Pepsi commercial, and he caught on fire, his head caught on fire. Well, apparently he was replaced by somebody else, and there's a dude who is burned. His whole face is burned off, and he was on this CNN interview, and the dude was trying to say that guy was Michael Jackson. That he got torched real bad, and they couldn't roll him back out. So when you saw that, when you saw the extreme plastic surgery on Michael Jackson, that might not have been the actual Michael Jackson. I don't know, but you know what I'm really asking? You know the question I'm asking?
What is it?
It may hurt. It may sting.
I think it's gonna hurt.
You may feel a slight sting, but that's just that might just be pride fucking with you, though. Okay, was or were the Jackson 5 actually related in any way, the brothers? Because they look so different. They're all just so different. Maybe they were just...
Darn good question.
Maybe they were just orphans, and then that dad figure just was foster dadding them or whatever, but just taking all their money.
None of them look like their dad.
Yeah, none of them look like the dad either. That's right, man. Well, hey, man, let me just say, I'm floating the bubble out there today. I'm throwing up a test balloon and see what you think about that, man. Because I looked at those two. I was watching some video, and I was like, man, they don't even look related. I mean, maybe two of the brothers do, but they don't look like they're all from the same pool, so to speak. It's Aftermath FM, 626-999-4761, 626-999-4761. Give us a call.
My friends,
come on, everybody.
Feel their appointed duty. They keep trying to tell me all you want to do is use me. But my answer ain't all that use me stuff. I want to spread the news that if it feels it's good getting used, oh, you just keep on using me.
It's Aftermath FM. I'm Jimmy. It's into the Microcosm.
Use me until you use me up. My brother sit me right down and he talked to me. He told me that I ought not to let you just walk on me. And I'm sure he meant well. Yeah, but when our talk was through, I said, brother, if you only knew, you'd wish that you were in my shoes. You just keep on using me until you use me up.
Bill Withers. Until you use me up. Yeah. So I guess no one's calling in. So we're just gonna slide down the home stretch. Oh, wait a minute. We got a caller. Let's grab that call. There we go.
Thank you, caller.
There you go, caller. Are you back? Who you?
Hey, Jimmy, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
Yeah, can you turn your radio down?
Turn what down?
There you go. Yeah, now I can hear you. How you? Is this Peppy?
Yeah, I can hardly hear you. I had you on speaker.
Okay, well, take me off speaker.
You're off now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So, hey,
I had a quick question for you guys. It might be off topic.
Go
but,
ahead.
You know, we had a lot of topics tonight.
Yeah, we did. Go
you
ahead.
know you know all that Bigfoot stuff, and so I was listening to some testimonies from some people trying to say behind Bigfoot, and Danny, you might know this because you seem to have
Yeah.
a lot of knowledge, Miss Lady. Anyway,
Yeah.
behind Bigfoot was a group that used Bigfoot as a lure, and they're called the Masters.
You mean like the disappearances and like Yosemite and stuff?
Say that again, Danny.
Like the disappearances in national parks?
No, you know Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
But-
apparently,
Go ahead.
the testimonies that have been getting out lately from guys that have been doing this for a while was that they're looking for Bigfoot. They find Bigfoot, and there's an evil Bigfoot is like a lure. It uses Bigfoot, but what's behind it is a group called the Masters, and they follow you home. They're a complete negative entity. I keep running across it as of late, and someone in chat yesterday knew about it. I was wondering if anyone knew anything about that.
You know, my most recent understanding of Bigfoot is not this like Harry and the Hendersons situation. It's more of a red-haired, bearded giant that is, larger and more, strong and powerful than most, humans, and that would be a native, not I don't even like to say the word legend or myth because it's not a myth or a legend. It's legitimate. But the people who would be calling them big and hairy would be people who wouldn't be growing the big face beards, and I think they're actually giants that are not, a lot of feet taller than people.
Do you think they're interdimensional?
I don't. Maybe not. No. Not them. I don't. But I don't know about who's running stuff behind the scenes that we've never heard of. And how they're using anybody for anything. Yeah. I think there's.
Look into the Masters behind Bigfoot because it's something I had never heard of, but a lot of people are coming forward that have been well known in the Bigfoot community. Also, I had a quick question for you about orbs. These orbs have been coming. We of course we have myth with fairies and orbs and all that, but that these orbs have been coming through to people also, and healing people of cancers and Crohn's disease.
That would be nice. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, there's big testimony, like real believable testimony going on about seeing these orbs being chased down by him, running from him like a whole family, and then following the people home and actually curing them and having many witnesses see them. And they say that at first they look like stars, and in the Bible it says that the angels and demons are stars, stars in the sky, and that they come down and they heal people. And I always thought that was kind of like a deception, but
I don't know, because I've caught them on video multiple times, and like I was saying in the chat earlier, the last time I saw them, there was one. I came out of a flea market, and it was just a few weeks ago, and then I'm trying to record it with my phone and it's not working, and then I give up, and then I look up and there's two, and then they're gone, and excuse me, I'm going down the highway, and there's like 50 of them.
Wow.
For a second,
Get something to drink.
I need water.
Get some water or some. I'm gonna drink some of my coffee.
Don't you give your co-host any water? What's wrong with you?
They got plenty of water. They can just go get the water onto themselves. I'm not their Sherpa. Okay, they need water. They go get it.
He doesn't know how I take my coffee yet.
I don't know how she takes her coffee.
I'm all choked up.
But what's interesting is we have just some interesting numbers going on on the back end. So anyway, we are coming down to the last pike. So I want to let you guys know I've been a little bit quiet tonight. It's because my mom was in the hospital. She's in the hospital now, and she went in there earlier. And so I've been sitting here waiting for the phone to ring to find out what's going on. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and hopefully everything will work out. And I appreciate any prayers that come my way from my ma.
Yep.
And
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna make our way out. We really appreciate you tonight. It was a wild ride, Mr. Rowe, once again. Thank you so much, bro. I mean, plus ultra mountain, stone mountain giants.
You mean super plus?
And yeah, plus
New and
ultra.
improved.
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy.
Yeah, good stuff tonight, you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a wild ride, man, and so hopefully everything's gonna be all right, and just keep moving forward one step at a time, and hopefully we'll make it there at some point. Thanks, Mr. Rowe. See you next Monday.
You are coming back Monday, right? Because we have so much to talk about.
We do.
I will be back
Just
Monday.
tell me to shut up.
And Danny, it's nice having you aboard too. You bring a special essence to the show.
She does.
Thank you.
She does bring a special essence. This is like an Irish spring morn whenever she comes in the room. All right, mine's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosm. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.